Do you often find yourself wishing you could walk through walls, disappear, and fly? Do you fantasize slapping a button on your wrist to turn into an alien whenever it's hero time? Do you wonder how many Ed Boys it takes to screw in a light bulb? I can't be the only one wondering why ska music is in, like, everything for some reason. If you weren't glued to the TV as a kid with a bowl of cereal in your hands, were you even doing childhood right? Probably. You're probably mentally healthy and have an attention span. As for the rest of us brain-rotted cartoon kids, I'm sure we've all wondered if the cartoons we grew up on shaped us into the chronically weird adults we are today. And that question is exactly what I aim to answer for you in this video. As always, a quick disclaimer, I am not a psychologist, these are all just jokes. You know, someone once called this series boy astrology, and after I was done laughing, I made sure to let them know that it was actually for everybody, and especially anyone whose brain was still developing while they stared hopelessly into the black nightmare box that gave us all our first crushes, our most important lessons, and probably some form of TV-induced psychosis. So let's get into it. Here's what 100 of your favorite childhood cartoons say about you. And if you don't see your favorite, feel free to leave a comment. I might just cover it in my next video. Uh-oh, look who has anxiety now. All the bad vibes in this were beamed directly into your brain, and your entire childhood was filled with recurring nightmares. You stay up super late and burn yourself out just to avoid another day of new things to have a panic attack about. Your emotional armor has been damaged a little at a time between long stints of being seemingly pretty happy. Every once in a while the facade slips when you think about stuff too hard, and that is why you try to avoid thinking entirely. You feed upon the horrors of the universe and spit them back into the face of God while laughing maniacally, and wherever you go, destruction follows. It's giving chaotic neutral. I think you remember this show, but you don't really miss it, since its downfall meant we got Billy and Mandy. Also, the evil scientist lady probably did something for you. Major Dr. Ghastly was in fact Coles. You are disturbing. You have the energy of someone who stands way too close to someone else in line at the store and shakes like a little chihuahua. We all agree this was not a kid's show, right? Okay, cool, just checking. You're cool, but your brain is spoiled, like bad milk. You spent your entire childhood saying stuff that got you into trouble. I'm very surprised you don't have a permanent bump from all the time someone thumped you on the head. You are emotionally unstable in a way that confuses psychologists and frightens customer service workers. You're the kind of person to scrape your fork on a plate or make a squeaky sound on the floor with your shoes because it hurts others physically. I feel like your room is just covered in clothes and cans, and that your bed sheets are either non-existent or just haven't been changed in like 3 months. Look, I don't know what kind of dark secrets you have buried in your backyard, but whatever's out there, I just hope it wasn't a person. I promise not to dig up the skeletons in your closet as long as you promise to stop making things into skeletons. Your sense of humor is from a different generation. I feel like you're judgmental of people's music taste and you eat a lot of junk food because it rules, dude. Honestly, I kind of feel that last one, though. I do enjoy some neon yellow cheese sauce myself. I feel like you say that's cute, but it's wrong in your head a whole bunch, but you never say it out loud because nobody will get the reference. Sure, you're wholesome, but like, what are your intentions? What are you trying to do with all those good vibes? Lure people into your compound somewhere in the woods? You're an elitist. You know you have excellent taste and you flaunt it. When someone tries to criticize you, you laugh in their face because you know you've already won the argument. You are also an elitist, but you have some like punk or goth energy splashed in there. You're still a Batman fan, but add a couple piercings and some EDM. You have full-on country fried Boy Scout energy. I'm surprised you aren't somewhere driving a truck in a camouflage hat or cutting down a tree right now. I feel like you eat at IHOP or a Waffle House just off the highway. You're charming and easy to please, and you use humor as a coping mechanism because it keeps the bad thoughts away. You are Saturday morning bowl of cereal core. You probably work a full-time job and pay rent, and might even have kids that you're trying to introduce to all the nerd stuff you loved as an unsupervised child. You have a lot of conventional wisdom, and you're always ready to tackle subjects that other people are afraid to talk about, and that authenticity is powerful. Honestly, I have nothing to say about you other than fantastic taste, good job, this was peak fiction. Oh, this is completely different. This is just all your animated childhood crushes in one place. This has fan fiction energy. You don't have action figures, you have an AO3. You seek strangers' approval like it's oxygen. You're still trying to make everyone happy all the time and receive all the superficial love because it feels good and you want it, and you need to have people love you but not look at you unless you want them to some of the time, and if they don't, you will be upset. You want to escape to a tiny house or a camper in the woods where you can be surrounded by animals, far away from civilization, and that daydream is the only thing that's keeping you going. Oh honey, how could you do this to yourself? How much more do you want to see the worst guy in the franchise as a fresh-faced young man with stars in his eyes? You know how the story ends. It's playing lightsaber baseball with younglings. You were a bizarre kid, the kind of kid who stares out the window and has a full conversation with a person who isn't there and causes every adult around them to lose a full night's sleep wondering if their child has made friends with aliens. If you had 3 wishes, at least one of them would be to know where he poops from. You turned out fine. This was pretty tame, but the theme song is permanently stuck in your head. You're the kind of person who would steal a log of ground beef from the grocery store and hide it under the floorboards of your enemy's home so it would stink up their house for months. I'm sure you're a really sweet person, but you have an incredibly high tolerance for the horrifying and bizarre. You fall asleep to true crime and you have a weird search history, but you also make like a really nice pumpkin bread. Being a baby and being a grown-up for you comes with the same horrifying problems you've always had. You're hungry, you're tired, you're grumpy, and you need a stimulating activity or you will wander off and do something you probably shouldn't. The fact that you even saw this is was crazy, and what's crazier is you continued watching it for more than 5 minutes after seeing the animation. It's telling me that you have a bad credit score and you can't parallel park. I mean, obviously, you're strong and beautiful and brave for making it through some of the weirder episodes of this. I do want to talk to the writers, though, because there were days when it was pretty clear they all had 103-degree fevers. You were born out of pocket, and you say things for a reaction. You also know a bunch of dark and frankly concerning historical facts. This is your Roman Empire, and what set you on the path to trash TV. You love other people's messy situations, but you don't want to be involved in them. Your work relationships could be described as transactional at best or borderline manipulative. I know, you were convinced you hallucinated this show. You might believe in the Mandela effect because nothing else explains why nobody remembers this. You're still cool, but now you constantly have to pee. You've increased your fiber intake recently, your joints hurt when it's cold, and you start getting sleepy around 9 p.m. Also, don't forget to renew your AARP membership. You were just happy the main character had braces too. You also love your routine, and your ideal weekend is organizing Tupperware. This type A behavior is a blessing and a curse. Were you always fantasizing about hanging at the mall with all your mall friends, doing mall stuff at the mall with your friends at the mall? You've been pandered to and you loved it. You're catty, but you got a grubby side to you, and you're attracted to people who are line cook hot, and you also know exactly what type of person I'm talking about when I say line cook hot. You are very intense and passionate, or other people are boring. You're the type to cry, scream, or kiss the nearest person to you at any given time, and nobody is ever sure which one it's going to be. You know, just hot girl things. You are ambitious, extremely motivated, and meticulously organized, but I promise you, you cannot Marie Kondo yourself into happiness. Your 4.0 high school GPA did not carry you into a cozy life, and you were lied to. You have a bold style, all nose rings and micro bangs and mullets and tattoos and jean shorts. You wear old band t-shirts unironically because you were raised on your dad's music. You romanticize history, and you're smart in a scary kind of way. In your mind, you're just a warrior princess who hasn't hit her stride yet, when in reality, you just want spicy chips and a nap. You are an overly caffeinated ball of energy and pop culture. The last time a doctor measured your heart rate, the machine just said, it's poppin'. You are into some weird stuff, and I'm exposing you right here on the internet. Incognito mode cannot save you from Auntie Tawny's all-seeing gaze, you little freak. Finding the right series of words to say to anger your significant other is your favorite hobby, and if you get hungry, thirsty, or just mildly bored, you will whine loudly until someone else comes and fixes all your problems. It's giving cottagecore, like no matter what season it is, you're wearing polka dots or like a floral pattern. I feel like you have a box of old family recipes somewhere in the house that you crack open every once in a while just to absorb its ancient power. You are one of two people, a fan of the original series who compulsively brushed all the hair out of their plastic horses as a coping mechanism to deal with childhood trauma, or you like the Friendship is Magic franchise, which means you're a teen or young adult who is raised with it and you are a chaos gremlin. I feel like you use the tattoo and piercing shop to escape from the bad feelings. I feel like you know your angel number, and you definitely ask for the birth chart of everyone you date. You have fully slept off a hangover in your car during work hours, and you will do it again. You have the same domineering energy as a Barbie girl, but it's wrapped up in layers of alternative fashion and offbeat hobbies. Like you might still be into sports, but instead of tennis, you do competitive axe throwing. You might be in STEM, but it's for forensics. You have definitely eaten some questionable leftovers. I'm talking dry, 3-day-old pizza that was just left sitting on the counter. The expiration date on most packaged food is simply a suggestion to you. I feel like if a friend tells you they have a weird skin thing going on, you immediately ask to see it. Then you run, grab the dental floss and a pair of pliers and try to fix it for them, because who needs a medical degree when you have enthusiasm? You're constantly worried about your health in some weird way, and you can't stop looking up symptoms on the internet and trying to match them with whatever it is you think you have. You are super wholesome and fun, but your brain is filled with horrible, morbid facts. You would go on a hike to identify mushrooms in the woods, but you would categorize them by most poisonous, and you know exactly what happens to the human body in the vacuum of space. You have trouble with commitment because you've been burned before, whether it was an ex-flame, a job that didn't pan out, or your favorite show changing its animation style halfway through. You have trust issues now. You're kind of weird, but also a great and loyal friend. The first thing people notice about you is how utterly strange you are, and the second thing is that you're a very wise and insightful person. Harold and the Purple Crayon Kids became Chalk Zone Kids, and Chalk Zone Kids became the working artists that do all the weird art commissions you see on your feed at 3 a.m. You're the type of person to say something like, I love you, I don't like you, but I love you, and you'll only be like half kidding. You tolerate a lot of wild shenanigans from the people you love. You're out here grinding every day to put those dino nuggets on the table for the family. You have the charisma of Barney Rubble, but you're working Fred Flintstone hours. It's a living. All of the appliances in your house are ancient, but you cannot bring yourself to get rid of them. So what if the stand mixer is 100 years old and has no electrical grounding? It was your grandma's, plus it can bend a fork in half. Oh, I can already see you sprinting around the house and breaking every valuable thing your parents owned. I have no idea where you are now, though. Maybe the military? Jail? Art majors watched Phineas and Ferb, and a lot of them are also engineers. I will not be taking questions at this time. You have a lot of black clothes and expired eyeliner sitting around, along with a surplus of stuffed animals to make the dark cave you inhabit feel a little more cozy. It's a vibe. Oh, okay, so you're just normal and well-adjusted, aren't you? You're probably attracted to one of the characters, but other than that, you escape childhood almost undamaged by TV anyway. You're the type of person who will eat what is put on their plate and not complain. You're just happy to have a roof over your head. You're a history nerd. This is your Roman Empire, and so is the actual Roman Empire. You make references to world events from 150 years ago like they happened yesterday. You're generally empathetic to people who are different from you, and you have a good understanding of your identity. I also feel like you ate a lot of generic cereal. I feel like if I looked on top of your fridge, I would find some frosted rectangles or golden bits. You connected with this in a way that really spoke to how you process information and social situations. Then it disappeared forever, leaving you asking the very same question for which it was named. You are creative and expressive, you love world building, and you are severely underrated. You probably just wish there were more seasons of this. Oh, you don't know how to fix anything, not one single thing. You were so hyped with your little truck and your plastic hammer, and all that enthusiasm for general construction left your body by the time you were 10 years old. Now you have to mark an entire day off your calendar just to put up a shelf. You have good communication skills. You tend to talk your problems out instead of immediately just throwing elbows when stuff doesn't go your way. You find comfort in solving little puzzles and breaking down your problems into pieces so you can tackle them one at a time. You enjoy helping and are generally wholesome, but you are straight up fighting demons the minute you are alone. I feel like you throw stuff when you're angry and gaslight customer service people. The vibes are downright rancid. You are constantly shifting to adapt to the soul-crushing environment you found yourself in. You become whatever the situation calls for, and it is a full-on survival mechanism. You're very fun and lighthearted, but you have a lot of sadness inside you that sits just underneath the surface. It doesn't take much to crack the emotional shell and get you trauma dumping. You love escapism in the forms of video games and anime, and sometimes anime about video games. Middle school was an especially rough time in your life. Speaking of anime-inspired shows, this is Elite and you have good taste. No call out for you. Enjoy your day. You say things like, I don't like drama, while actively being the source of the drama. You use gel pens to write very pretty passive-aggressive notes, and I am terrified of you. You spent a lot of time hiding who you really were from the world because you felt like no one understood you, but now you put that behind you and you live your life in a way that makes you happy regardless of what other people think. Your sense of humor is just annoying people, and it's not a crime, but it should be. Also, you have a thing for redheads. You will pick up any type of junk off the ground and play make-believe with it. Tell me you don't still think about putting that soda box in your arm like it's a laser cannon and fighting invisible bad guys. You had some wild years when you were young, and now your life has course-corrected and you found some inner peace. You are no longer a walking federal offense, but a kindly soul on an inspiring personal journey. You spend entirely too much time daydreaming about what you'd do if you could do martial arts or had superpowers. I'll save you some time. The answer is nothing good. Also, you remember every uncle quote. Ben 10 kids are the type of people to run headfirst into a brick wall just to see if they can bust through it. I don't know how else to describe it. You all just have too much energy and not a single ounce of self-preservation. You had a cyber goth phase, and I have found the source of the epidemic. It's Jack Spicer. It was always Jack Spicer. In the Venn diagram of snarky know-it-all and resident meme lord, you fall squarely in the center as both. You alternate between info dumping and just being wildly out of pocket. You have a will-they-won't-they relationship with someone close to you, and you need to either figure out what you're doing or move on. There's also a certain dark-haired character that made you realize some things you didn't know about yourself. The LOL so random era hit you like a freight train, and your brain was completely fried by early internet humor and frequent visits to Hot Topic. Your teen years were spent idolizing manipulators who wore studded belts and ended every text with a winky face. For some reason, you can fix a whole car, but you have still not figured out how to communicate with a woman. You were a scrungly kid, a little grubby. You enjoyed the nastier things, and you grew up into a maladjusted person who still does. You would be the kind of person to get froyo and put cookie crumbles on it and gummies shaped like bugs just to simulate the feeling of eating dirt. You don't know why they were bikers, how they were mice, or what made them from Mars, but you still enjoyed it just the same. Nobody else you knew even watched this or had the SNES game, but hey, that's exactly why to this day you'll collect odd and rare garbage just so someone will remember it existed. You are chronically online, and you have been for 20 years. Admitting you have an internet problem is the first step on the road to recovery. Also, you will never say the word candlejack, because if you do, you might just... To this day, two phrases have stayed with you in your mind, and those are bejabbers and not a monkey. Also, you remember the recipe to a megaphone, which is a squirrel, some string, and a megaphone. I feel like your childhood was not easy. I think you got left in front of the TV a lot and just sort of absorbed whatever was on. Like you weren't going out of your way for this. This just happened to be there while your parents were at work and you were like 8 and alone in the house. Was this good? No. Did you watch it at your grandparents' house because they had satellite TV and you barely knew how to work the remote? Absolutely. Half anime, half Canadian, knockoff Scooby-Doo with a little alien was your jam. I think it might have gotten you into watching real anime, actually. Speaking as a San Diegan, there's just no way you didn't experiment with the devil's lettuce. This was the gateway drug to California beach trash life. You, however, sweet little lamb, have never touched anything. One time you accidentally ate a poppy seed bagel and you fully freaked out thinking you did hard drugs. You are a lonely person and nobody understands you, but instead of fairy godparents, you got antidepressants and student debt. You are a vault of lost information and pop culture references on par with the Library of Alexandria. You could probably sing the theme song front to back, and the only thing wrong would be your pitch. Nobody knows why you remember all the weird stuff you do. Maybe it's ADHD, maybe it's Maybelline. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't yet, and hit that notification bell. If you want more of these, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.